Hello, everyone. Once again, it is your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here today. Now, before I bring Skylar in, I want to just give you an update as to what's going on, because I am going to bring Skylar in to do the actual podcast. As you can see in the title, this actually is the edition of the Core Martial Podcast. Let me explain what happened. So, over the course of watching AEW 100% legally, it turns out that my Mac has lost some of its processing speed, which what that means is I am not able to record any of the audio with my Mac right now because it will not work. I can't edit any video. I can't export any video. And more importantly, I can't upload any videos. So what that means is that for the time being, we are going to have to do the Core Martial Podcast live as it happens in much poorer quality video and in much more poorer quality audio as we were going before. But my hope is that my laptop will be fixed this weekend, and then that will alleviate all of those problems. And also the fact that we are still trying to make this work is a way that we are still able to bring you the quality programming that you, the fans, deserve. Whether you're watching it right here, right now with us, or what is more likely the case, you're watching this after the fact, you saw it, you didn't get a chance to watch it live, you're like, hey, let me check this out, and then you hear all the updates. It's the formatting change. Hopefully it is temporary. I do not want to make this the full-fledged grand scheme how things go from now on, but we will go from there. We will do what we can, and we will make this work. And with that being said, and I really on, and it is okay. Just to make sure. And now we are going to pass this over, treat this over, and we are going to bring Skylar Greenberg into the fold. So if you'll just bear with me for 1 minute here, and we will get this on our way. And I'm just going to make sure you're ready. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to call him from my phone, which is going to be part of this. And actually, what I want to do, I think I do want to put this on something, and we'll do that. I'm trying to get it so the lighting in here is halfway decent, but you're not just looking at me on a blue screen. So what we're going to do, and you're seeing this in live action, folks, so this is not the most auspicious means of doing this, and you just heard it. It's the Wii. I'm turning the Wii on, but only to get the visual of my voice. Not that you need it, but you've got it. So Sky, I'm just going to make sure he's ready. And what we are doing today on this episode of the Core Martial Podcast is we are going to be going through our ACPW NWL back-to-back week 6. We are going to bring you all of the exciting action that's going to come from that. And now let's get Sky in on the call. And unfortunately, I wish I could have done this. Sky. Say something, sir. I don't know if he can hear me. He should be able to hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Say hello to everyone.
Here's the thing. Can you hear me?
Well, this is probably as much as we're going to be able to hear you, Sky, because you are coming through from my phone, and I cannot make it much louder than it already is. So I'm putting you close to the laptop, and I'm hoping that that will work as we try this new formatting change here at the Core Martial Podcast. I think you sound fine.
Well, I'm not sure how I sound. I'd have to go on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'll check it out later.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this episode. Hopefully, things will be alleviated. I was just telling everybody what happened, and hopefully, we will get the laptop situation resolved sooner rather than later, and then we will go back to our scheduled programming. But Skylar, we have 2 very exciting shows to bring the people.
Yes, we do, and I'm looking forward to doing this. But before we begin, I have something very important that I have to say.
Go for it. While I get my show.
So please, everyone, would you rise to your feet? Would you please take off your hats? Place your right hand over your heart.
The hat's the gimmick. I can't take off the hat. The hat is the gimmick.
Okay, fine. Pretend to take your hat off.
All right, I'm going to pretend to take the hat off.
Your heart.
I'm afraid of what this is going to be.
And in a loud, clear voice, say along with me, fuck Tony Khan.
You know what? Okay, I can get behind that. But I would say fuck wrestling promoters, because I cannot say exclusively one or the other. No.
Specifically, fuck Tony Khan, because if we didn't watch AEW, you wouldn't be having problems with your computer.
That's right.
So
That's right.
His fault.
It was me legally buying and watching AEW. That you can't see me winking, Sky, but I was winking. The people at home, they see the winks. They know what I'm talking about. Or are we not supposed to wink at the audience?
Here's the thing. I have the show pulled up on YouTube, so I am watching you.
Oh, great. So now that's that's where we're at, folks. So you're gonna get to see my beautiful face here for the entirety of this show, which is new. That is something new. And here I have my show notes.
Look at this as an opportunity to experiment with the possibility of doing a podcast live.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely a trial run. And honestly, if I could get it where the Mac gets back up working again and I could live stream that show, and then we could actually have you on a much better audio cast, and then it would sound a little bit better than it does. You know, this plus our natural state would honestly be quite refreshing.
Exactly. You always got to try something new and just not do the same thing over and over and over again.
That's right.
WWE.
That's right. So that's what we do is we shake things up. But in the exact speaking of not shaking things up, I have a week 6 ACPW show to bring. And
something tells me this is going to be an interesting one from you.
This show is a maintenance show. This is a go home show, and you know what? I have to say my big major controversial statement of this particular podcast is I now empathize with people who have to write go home shows. It is not as easy as it looks. And people who book these shows, it's hard to get people feeling too excited without giving them what they want before they want it.
I have to agree with you. This experiment, more than any other, has shown that it's not easy to be a wrestling booker and please everybody.
No, and that's without us having to deal with wrestling personalities and having to deal with all sorts of shenanigans from all sorts of external influences. And it's getting a little hot and heavy in here, so I got to take off the sweater because we are talking. That's right. I said you're gonna see my beautiful self. I'm wearing a Scotland-themed shirt today because I didn't think to wear a wrestling shirt to a wrestling podcast because it's been a weird week. It's been a wild week. So I have afforded.
Too bad you're not Drew McIntyre and have a random sword hanging around that you can use to set off fire pyro.
Did you know that was Vince McMahon's sword?
I found out about it, and I'm just questioning what the hell is in his vault.
Hey, Triple H is a hell of a son-in-law. He's like, happy birthday, Dad. Here's a sword.
Yes, thank you, son. Put it next to the T-Rex head.
Yeah, amazing. So, we're going to start, because this is your main show here this week, so I'm going to kick things off, because this is my next to main show, as my main show is going to be happening next month. And what's
the name of that event?
The name of that event is Winter Warcraft. And Winter Warcraft, of course, from not to be confused with World of Warcraft and those stupid video game geeks, because video games are for nerds. And this is wrestling. We do pro wrestling on a pro wrestling show. And so Winter Warcraft is going to be all about the fights, the battles. It could be out in the cold, hard snow. It could be in the brisk conditions. It could be right by the fireplace. Somebody being set on fire in the middle of the winter, no less. It is pandemonium. It will be winter pandemonium next month in ACPW, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We will start.
Hell of a promo.
we will start. Thank you, sir. We will start with the first matchup, which is, first of all, of course, Arn Anderson is the general manager. He's not around, but he's the commissioner. Not Tony Schiavone. Good God. I'm all over the place today. Matt Striker and Taz, bring us in. Welcome to next episode of ACPW. Got a lot of great matches today. Up tonight. It is a 5-match card, but we've got some big matches. We've got the tag team champions in action tonight against the tag team of Hanson and Rowe. We've got a segment with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, and then, of course, the big match. We have a match between MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and Robert Roode.
Ooh.
That is going to be our main event match of the show. And then, of course, later on tonight, we have, and I really debated doing this gimmick because everybody does this gimmick. And this is similar to how I felt last week with the whole, like, Russo, everybody's brawling segment. It's like, I know it's cliche, I know it's overdone, and I don't think I did it any more justice with this. But tonight, our main event is going to be the contract signing for the ACPW Heavyweight Championship, Brian Cage and Jeff Cobb for Winter Warcraft next month.
I mean, the contract signing is a staple of professional wrestling, and you have to have it in your company at one point or another.
Yeah, I didn't have another way to keep these guys in each other's periphery without dropping anybody's heat or making it or overbooking it beyond what it needed to be. Because I don't want them to come to blows, really, until we actually get that big dream match. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Agreed.
So we start out with Titus O'Neil and Orange Cassidy going on one-on-one. There's a little bit of a height and weight difference. That's quite a match differential, but I'm sure you can guess how this match went. Orange Cassidy hit the play kicks and got the freshly squeezed for the 1-2-3, and also simultaneously made Titus O'Neil tap out. I'm kidding.
Please, no.
I'm kidding. For those of you, if you're tuning in for the first time, that was slayed with so much sarcasm. No, Titus O'Neil hits the sit-out powerbomb, formerly known as the Clash of the Titus. 1-2-3. This match goes 5 minutes.
Thank God.
This ain't nothing. No, I would never let Orange Cassidy beat Titus O'Neil with play kicks and his crappy finisher. Not a chance.
Well, you hired the Young Bucks, so I don't know what to think of you anymore.
I know, yeah, but what have they done? The job.
That's true.
And chances are, I'm not even gonna ever use them again.
Just one match and you're done.
That was it. I just needed them the job because I didn't want to do that to the bar. I think that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
Anyway, moving right along. Then we go to Tony Schiavone in the back with Shorty G. And Tony Schiavone says, well, Shorty, what you drank? We saw you a couple weeks ago, and we're still a little upset about it, actually. I've been hearing whispers about the way that you entered the West Coast and somehow tried to use our name for yourself. And Shorty G says, Tony, hold on here. Let's be real. I left ACPW because there was no competition here. Everybody you put in front of me, I beat convincingly over and over. I've won every championship there is to win. I am the best athletic specimen on earth, bar none, no matter where, no matter when. This place, that place, China, Far East, all the way up into Britain, all the way down into South Africa. The main constant is that your boy, Shorty G, is athletically capable, ready, willing, Gable. You've heard it here first. It's not the first time you'll hear it, and it is not the last time you'll hear it. And then Titus O'Neil comes in from the right, and he's sweaty because he just came out from the match. And Titus O'Neil and all his sweat come in, and Tony Schiavone says, oh, well, look, it's Titus O'Neil is coming here. And Titus starts saying, like, listen, Shorty G, you ain't nothing. Let's talk about the realization of the subject here. You came in here, you beat a couple nobodies roughly. You had a couple victories. I'm impressed. But then you start running your mouth. You think you're God's gift to athleticism. And I take exception to people who try to use a reputation like ACPWs where the best come to face each other. And you decide to throw that away just because you think there's no competition here. I don't think you faced a man quite like me, Titus O'Neil. And I know that here visually on the live stream, I definitely, seeing me cut this promo and picturing Titus O'Neil is harder to do than it looks. So just bear with me here.
I'm just doing my best. I'm doing my best.
That's just right. I'm doing what I can. But Shorty G, you might be doing your best, but you haven't done enough to convince me that you are an athletic specimen. I'm tired of you running your mouth. I'm tired of you doing the runaround and not facing a real challenge. So if you're so good, face me next month or next week, technically, because I've been doing it week to week. Winter Warcraft. What do you have to say about that? If you're truly a man, if you're truly the athletic god that you say you are, then face me next week. Shorty G says, I've got no problem doing that. And when I embarrass you, a man twice my size, because I'm the most athletically gifted man on this earth, what are you going to do with your life? I'll tell you what I'm going to do with my life. Continue to win, continue to be the best, and eventually have that gold across my chest. And he thinks about it for a second, and then he just walks away. Because you don't wear gold around your chest. You wear it around your waist.
I am disappointed because you didn't use the catchphrase that came up for Shorty G.
He didn't. He did not.
And you should have ended it with...
It's a Shorty G guarantee. Right.
Yes, thank you.
Right. It's a Shorty G guarantee. Well, I don't want to infringe upon your copyrighted material, Sky. That's an NWL catchphrase. If we start to use that, I mean, I don't want to get into no legal trouble, man. I don't want no trouble, man. So, anyway. So we're going to do some multitasking here because my Wii has just run out of batteries and I need to replace the batteries so you can see my beautiful face. All happening in live action. All well, I'm also talking about, here's my back of batteries, all talking about the next match, which is...
Now, hang on. Let me do the sponsor real quick. This video is sponsored by Nintendo. Nintendo, buy our products. Okay, continue.
And if you want your ad space right where Skylar just added that plug, which we're not getting any money for, then feel free to hit us up at any time and we will be glad to shout you out and give you the sponsorship you need. And now we're back in the game. Here we are.
I have to say, that's a good program that you set up. I like that you used Shorty G going to the National Wrestling League because you couldn't find any competition. You get Titus a win and you shine him up before you set him up for the match.
Yes. Yeah. And
one.
The problem is with Titus O'Neil is that, like, because he was just in such a high-profile feud with, like, Jeff Cobb and then losing the feud to Jeff Cobb, I wanted to get him something where it still felt like he felt like a big enough deal. And I feel like Shorty G is, like, in that right spot in the mid-card, you know, the kind of the lower mid-card to still keep Titus O'Neil relevant enough to make this match still mean something.
And that is an interesting matchup, Shorty G versus Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, and I got to bury Orange Cassidy in the process, which never hurts. And
everybody wins except for Orange Cassidy,
who you can all wave goodbye to because he's not going to be on the show next week. I'm just gonna lie. No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Heath Slater versus Sammy Guevara is next.
Ooh.
And Sammy Guevara was a pickup that we did in the middle. I have not put him on television yet. So this is his first match. Get a good look at him while you can. Because this match, as competitive as 6 minutes can be, Heath Slater wins this match with the inverted DDT. I know people call it the Scorpion Death Drop. It's the inverted DDT just because we're trying not to give moves names as much.
And if you're going to give moves names, you shouldn't try to get someone to look at, hey, that was a great Scorpion Death Drop. Let's watch Sting matches.
Yeah, I'd rather just call it the inverted DDT and then that be that. But he wins with an inverted DDT. which I think is a good. And honestly, I was looking up a lot of Heath Slater moves. I think that's honestly the best finisher for him, especially with his new build where he's really like way more jacked than he was before.
No doubt, no doubt.
So Heath Slater wins with this inverted DDT. Sammy Guevara, thanks for coming, Sammy. We'll see you maybe.
Wow, you're just gonna send these people out to go.
But as he said, I'm banishing them to the Shadow Realm. They're all being banished to the Shadow Realm. Goodbye, Sammy. Millennium items notwithstanding. As Heath Slater is celebrating this win, Pentagon Jr. runs in and hits him from behind and attempts. He gets him down. Selena gets ready and gives the snap of her fingers, which you all know what that means. So Pentagon goes to break the arm, but Heath Slater once again is able to wrench his arm out as Pentagon gets thrown forward and Heath Slater escapes and gets out of dodge. As this has happened, Zelina Vega has pushed JR down, which is mean, and takes the microphone and says, Heath, I want you to know right now that this is very much personal. Because when ACPW started, the reason why so many men have had their arms broken is you, Heath, because you had the balls to escape from my Pentagon Jr. Pentagon was ready to finish you off, take you down for the mediocrity that you are, and you found a way to slip and slide your way out like a snake, like a gator, going back into the waters. But I have a man who will not stop because his entire being is meant to cause pain. Pentagon Jr. shows no fear, and he wills himself to see the fear in other men's eyes. And next week at Winter Warcraft, Heath Slater, Pentagon will get his vengeance. He will get back that which escaped his grasp. And that is a guarantee. So we have a match set up.
Zelina Vega.
We have a match set up now. So at Winter Warcraft, we will have Heath Slater versus Pentagon Jr., a rehash, if you will, baby, from the very first episode of ACPW.
I like that you set things up in the first show that you're now using in the 6th and 7th show.
Well,
it's long-term planning.
Continuity matters. That's what I believe. And you know, I will say, just kind of as a side note here, that Heath Slater was not my first choice for who Pentagon was going to face next week. The original choice was Trevor Mann. But I stopped myself because it was only 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago from this point, 3 weeks ago from next week, that Trevor Mann had his arm broken. And 3 weeks is a little too soon to bring somebody back from a broken arm.
That is true. And I like that you went to a second option that makes sense in the grand scheme of things.
Well, it helped that I still had somebody that I could run that around to and kind of BS a story behind it to fill in the spots. But it's not that I didn't want Trevor Mann in Winter Warcraft. It's just I needed to have him off TV to sell the injury because otherwise it would lose its meaning. And I don't want to do that.
That's also another good mid-card matchup for Winter Warcraft.
Yes. More on the card, trying to get everything to mean something. And speaking of, we have now got an Outlaw Inc. promo. And I'm not going to try and do an Eddie Kingston promo because Eddie Kingston is a genius at promos. But more or less, Outlaw Inc. says, look, we all know what happened last week when we had the guys, the Dirty Briscoes. See, for those of you who haven't been watching, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a tag team title match. And it was the Briscoes that cost us. Because what happened was this. The Briscoes cost the Hardys and caused us to win that match. But did we ask for their help? No. Did we want their help? No. And in the grand scheme of things, they were only paying about themselves. And you see, where I come from, there's a little thing known as territorial beefs. And I've got a beef with these two guys coming in on my turf and on my opportunities and tarnishing my victories. So me and Homicide, we're going to make sure that the Briscoes know that they're going to pay for what they did. It may seem harmless then, but everybody pays the piper for every action they take before it's all said and done. And Homicide and I, we know a thing or two about bringing the cold hand of justice to anyone that invades our turf.
Ooh, warning shots fired.
So, obviously, Outlaw Inc. is a little upset, which understandably so. If somebody had actually won them, it's a weird situation because the Briscoes inevitably helped Outlaw Inc., but Outlaw Inc. is offended that they even were helped to begin with.
Makes sense. They don't want help to do their own thing, and it actually hurt them because it cost them the match.
Well, it cost them later on when FTR was doing their thing, and then of course the match last week, where Outlaw Inc. got the rematch, where that cost the match. So it's this whole mix of the Briscoes really getting heat at first unintentionally, and now, of course, from last week and the brawl that ensued then. And honestly, I thought about this promo from the standpoint of what a babyface would think, and a true babyface would be offended if somebody else sacrificed or tarnished the integrity of a win for that person who is really trying to just be athletically the best they can be.
Exactly. The babyface quality is that you are able to prove that you are the best on your own merits,
right,
and not have help.
Right. So that's that. And now that is in the ring, by the way. That was Outlaw Inc. with JR. So then we go to Tony. And Tony's with the Briscoes, who have a match coming up next. And Tony asked the Briscoes, well, you just heard what Outlaw Inc. had to say. Obviously, you've got a match coming up next. Do you have a response to what Outlaw Inc. said? And Jay's about to get ready, and Mark kind of stops him, just gets the microphone, Tony, and says, "Watch, fool." And they walk out. So out come the Briscoes, and it is the Briscoes versus DIY.
Ooh,
now,
that's a dream match.
Now, normally this would be a dream match, but in ACPW, it's a mid-card tag match. I would love to build this up as a major tag feud, and maybe if I had a different set of tag teams, I would have done that. But because the circumstances are the way they are, these two are our third match on this show, and maybe in another time these two will get a proper program.
If only you had more time to expand on your universe.
I know it's a shame, but it is not this day. So here's the finish. It's a 10-minute match that goes about 8.5. It's like a 10-minute time limit. It goes 8.5 to 9. It gets close to the end of the time limit. Here's the finish, and I really enjoyed this finish because I thought it was wildly clever, and it probably means it's going to suck, but here you go. Mark is down on his knees in the middle of the ring. Ciampa on one side, Gargano on the other side, so you know what they're setting up.
Meeting in the middle.
The meeting in the middle. So they do the ha la 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 la, and they get ready for that. And I can confirm that is what they do in the middle of the ring. They actually go ha la 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 la. It confuses the audience to no end.
Take this seriously when you go.
No, okay, I can't. See, I'm trying to add comedy where there shouldn't be comedy because there wouldn't be comedy. But here's what's going on. Mark's down. Mark reaches into his cargo pants as he's down, but it looks like he's just selling, right? Like he's selling and he's getting up, and you see this a lot happen with guys where they're up like this, but they've got their hands down, like they can't even get them up. Well, while this is happening, he's reaching into his pants, and they're getting ready to do their do their thing, and the Briscoes So Mark gets the knucks, and as he gets hit with the two knees, he lifts his right hand up with the knucks in his hand, low blows Gargano. The referee is behind Ciampa, so the referee does not see this. He's behind Ciampa. Mark low blows Gargano, and as he low blows Gargano, as he's getting hit in the head with both knees, he tosses the knucks to Jay on the side of the ring. And Jay, who would have been legal at this point, because you have to imagine this is 9 minutes. There was a little combustion at the end, the comeback. You know how a tag match would go. Jay gets the knucks, and as Gargano goes down, and you can see him selling his nards, the referee goes over and checks on him. Well, as the referee's checking on Johnny, Jay's got the knucks. Ciampa goes in, bam! Jay hits the knucks on to Tommaso Ciampa, throws the knucks out. And actually, it would make more sense if Mark were the legal man. So Jay's gonna drag Mark over to cover Ciampa, and then the referee comes back in. Jay leaves the ring. 1, 2, 3. The Dirty Briscoes once again have cheated and brass knucked their way to a win.
The most powerful weapon in wrestling at the moment is the brass knucks in the hands of a Briscoe brother.
The Briscoes have really heavily relied on those brass knucks.
But the thing, though, is that was a very clever finish, but it'd be really hard to time.
It would be really hard to time. If you could get it where the knees hit, the hand flips up, and the low blow goes in, it's like if you could get that whole thing timed and everybody was in the right place and did what they were able to do, that would be a hell of a finish.
Oh, no doubt.
So, but see, that's the fun thing about having things on paper versus when you actually see them in execution.
Yeah, because we're not the wrestlers. We're not the ones doing, okay, finally going to use the nuts.
That's right. That's right. And all we are smarks on the internet, just fantasy booking. So, but if it could happen.
But the Briscoes win again.
Briscoes win again. And now the Briscoes, you talk about the statement that was sent to Outlaw Inc. there, because the Briscoes picked up a win to respond to that accusatory promo by Outlaw Inc. Tensions running high. It is at this moment that we get a feed from Arn Anderson. We're told Matt Striker and Taz. You say, we're getting a feed. Let's bring it into Arn Anderson. And Arn, what do you got to say? Arn says, well, based on what we've seen recently between these two teams, it is clear that there needs to be a match. There needs to be a winner. So we are going to, at Winter Warcraft, have the match. Outlaw Inc. versus the Briscoes. So
look forward to it.
That now
be a great match
is confirmed. So and before I bring you to you at the end of this, I will go through the entire Winter Warcraft card. And until then, we have got a segment, and it is an interview segment. JR is in the ring and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if I can call it a pleasure, but I'm going to bring these two out right now because they have an announcement to make, and it is my journalistic privilege to bring out Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly."
Ooh,
now,
JR is going to have a tough time on his hands.
Now, for those of you who have not been keeping up with the undisputed Kardashians, I mean wrestling's finest. What's happened here is this. I'm not going to go through all of it, but last week, Roddy Strong debuted, and Roddy met Bobby Fish and O'Reilly in the back and asked, "Where's Adam?" And they both looked hesitant and said, "Look, man, you got to focus on your match. Like, we'll catch up later." And so Roderick Strong went and he won his match, and that was kind of the end of that. Adam Cole was nowhere to be found because a couple weeks earlier, in a cluster. You can go back and watch it if you want to. The ACPW versus NWL episode 4, Harvest Havoc. Britt Baker, Adam Cole's girlfriend, hit in the head, steel chair by Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole is wanting revenge. But that's where we stand going into this. Are you with me, Sky?
I am with you.
All right. So JR says, well, Bobby and Kyle, you guys have been out here quite a lot with me, and I feel like I've kind of learned my lesson. So I'm just gonna give you guys the mic, and I'm gonna let you work this out. Please don't get hurt. Please don't do anything you're gonna regret. And Bobby Fish goes, no, JR, we want you here. Come on. We want a good interview with you, man. Come on, come back inside. And so they bring JR. He's like, all right, well, then let me start by asking. And then Kyle O'Reilly goes, no. JR, give me the microphone. Give me the microphone. And, and they're like, JR, get out of here, JR. We don't need you. We don't need you. And JR is like so confused, but he ends up leaving the ring. So
that was so mean.
It was mean. And so Kyle O'Reilly says, listen, we've been through a lot over the past few weeks, but we are proud here tonight to bring back an old friend, a good friend, a trustworthy friend, a friend that we know we can rely on. And we are here to bring wrestling's finest to new heights, to a new era, a new pantheon of success. Please welcome the newest addition, Roderick Strong. And they're both clapping, and out comes Roddy Strong. And Roddy's super happy. He's like, hi, I'm Roderick Strong. I'm part of wrestling's finest. And he walks in and hugs both of them, hugs Fish, hugs O'Reilly. And then, and Bobby Fish goes, man, it's so great to have you in here. It's so great to have you in ACPW where you belong, where the best of the best come to fight. And you are one of the very best. That's why we love you. That's why we're best friends. We've traveled all around the world together. And we are so thrilled to have you back in the fold, man. And Roddy takes the microphone. He says, guys, I'm happy to be here too. Don't get me wrong. I'm real happy to be here. You know what? I just realized something. I actually have a microphone. So.
No.
Yes.
Don't do it.
That's right. I've got a microphone. And you know when I got this? This is a fun little piece of merchandise. I got this at a live event show in Binghamton, or I don't even think it was Binghamton, but it was in a suburb of Binghamton, New York at a house show in 2003. It's got presets for Hollywood Hogan and Rob Van Dam. And I love it. And this is fun. I actually put paper over this from my old fantasy league NWE National Wrestling Entertainment from way back in the day when I was a young tyke. But that doesn't matter because we've got a microphone. And Roddy says, now look,
gift of gab.
I just want to know, guys, like, I'm happy to be here, right? I'm happy to be with you guys. I know that ACPW, we're going to run through this territory. We're going to run roughshod like we have anywhere else, everywhere else. It's going to be non-discussion. We are going to be the undisputed best, wrestling's finest at its purity. But guys, somebody's missing, man. Listen, where is Adam? And I've been waiting to hear from you guys. I've been texting you. I've been calling you saying, hey, let's hang out, the four of us. You guys have been ducking my calls. What's been going on? And Bobby Fish takes the microphone and says, look, Roddy, listen, this is tough to tell you, but Adam Cole cares more about his girl than he cares about us. From the people who made him, from the people who worked with him and thrived with him. And we traveled all over the world, but recently he's not the same guy. You know, he's been hanging out with that dentist, that girl of his that he seems to be so enamored with, that he cares about so much, that he's forgotten what it means to be wrestling's finest. He's forgotten what it means to be part of a brotherhood. He doesn't care about that anymore. And we, sadly, had to watch him destroy himself from within. But now, hopefully, he'll come back to us. But we did what we had to do. Unfortunately, Adam isn't one of us anymore. But you, Roddy, you are. You are. And I want to thank you for being a reliable, trustworthy friend who knows what brotherhood's all about. And Roddy takes the microphone. Roddy says, guys, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I guess we're gonna have to move on without him. And he goes for a hug. You know, they all kind of go for a hug, and then he's got the microphone kind of like over their shoulders. He says, "I've just got one more question. Do you think I'm an idiot?" And they both pull away and they look kind of confused. I'm like, "Yeah. Remember last week when we were all out here and I had my match and I won my match, and then they showed that video package of what happened at Harvest Havoc? I was still in the ring. I was still in the ring. I saw everything you two did. And by the way, it's 2020. I have a cell phone. I called Adam. I talked to Adam and I talked to Britt, and I know everything about what happened between the three of you. And let me tell you something. You two are the ones who've lost your way. You've lost the identity of brotherhood. And in fact, it's funny, speaking of cell phones, I knew the three of us were going to be in here tonight, and I made another call. And at that moment, Adam Cole, in jeans and taped fist, comes running through the crowd, runs over the barricade, runs in, and starts to attack Fish and O'Reilly. And Fish and O'Reilly are starting to get, and Roddy comes to get beaten down, but then they kind of split. They separate. So Fish and O'Reilly leave with only getting maybe like a couple of punches in, did Adam Cole. Like very little offense. And Fish and O'Reilly escape. And then Adam Cole takes the mic. And now, for the sake of the other people living in this house, I'm not going to cut as fiery a promo as this would be. But Adam Cole pretty much screaming, think of like a Road Warrior Hawk or Road Warrior Animal promo, but Adam Cole basically saying, Fish, O'Reilly, the time has come. You say you don't know about brotherhood, and I don't know about brotherhood. Well, I've got a brother, and this brother is going to be behind me no matter what. And come next week, it's ass-kicking time. It's time for you to collect your debts, to put your affairs in order, because when you're 6 feet under the ring and I've got my hand raised and I've got my redemption, my brother will be there alongside me, and I'm going to do it for Britt, I'm going to do it for me, and I'm going to do it for the real wrestling's finest. Drops mic. And that's it.
We got ourselves a hot match coming up for Winter Warcraft between these four individuals.
Yeah, this is going to be a barn burner. This is seriously these two face each other, so it is going to be, and this is another confirmed matchup now, which we're going to get from Arn Anderson. We can kind of go back to Arn Anderson and goes, well, tag teams are lighting it up recently, and now that we've got Outlaw Inc. and the Briscoes, I've got 2 more tag matches to add to Winter Warcraft. The first, of course, being what we just saw. I'm going to sanction that match immediately. We are going to get Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly against the tag team of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Winter Warcraft, for the love of his life, redemption story. Adam Cole seeks vengeance for Britt Baker.
Looking forward to it. And Adam Cole's theme should definitely be "You're Gonna Pay."
Yeah, yes, he could take a page out of Biker Taker's book. But definitely, it was a slow burn feud, but you kind of saw this turn from the beginning, from week 1.
You definitely did when Adam Cole announced that he wanted to turn a new leaf, and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were not on board with that.
Yeah, and you could see they were visibly upset with that notion back at week 1, and now it's come to this. It's come to blows here in this 7-week period, and it is going to be something. Now, I want to make it clear that the reason that I didn't have Adam Cole and Roddy get more offense in is I still want to keep some heat on Fish and O'Reilly for that match, and if they had gotten any more offense in, you run the risk of killing your heat. Perfect example is when the Young Bucks threw MJF into the pool. In real life, in AEW, where he was on a steam of momentum and then all of a sudden he took a pool bump for like no reason. And it bore no significance whatsoever to the grand context of the story, which is, classic AEW. Yeah, what can you say?
I feel like we're doing a twofer. We're doing our fantasy wrestling shows, and then we're also taking continuous shits on AEW.
Well, because pretty much a monkey in a top hat could book better than Tony Khan.
Which is what we're trying to do right now.
That's right.
You have the top hat?
Well, I don't have a top hat. I have a tricorn hat. I have a tricorn hat based on my Colonial Champion gimmick. But moving right along, we're nearing the end of this show. So up next is a video package recapping the end of the Brawl, what happened last week. So the big fight between FTR and the Hardys, and the big fight between Outlaw Inc. and the Briscoes. Now, I skipped something here, and I forgot to go back to it. Arn Anderson was in the middle of announcing 2 more tag matches. He announced that Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were going to face Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, and we also are going to sign in the Tag Team Championship match. We are going to give the Hardys a rematch. Based on the events of the past several weeks, we have determined that it is now going to be FTR with Jim Cornette defending their championships against the Hardys in a rematch.
That should be a really good matchup.
So, and that was the match. That was the first main event that we had in ACPW history, was those 2. Now, the next matchup, then we recap the Brawl. Then we open up with FTR coming in with Jim Cornette because they have a matchup. It's FTR versus Hanson and Rowe. And FTR is in the ring, and Jim Cornette takes the mic and says, well, we just heard from good old Commissioner Arn that we've got ourselves a tag match against men who we don't believe are in our league, in the Hardys. We had them face those 2 little tiny kids last week. Somebody more their size. And good for them. They beat a couple of kids. But they're not in the league. We've proven this already. They're not in the league of FTR. But you know what? Just as a demonstration to show you how confident we are in our abilities, why don't you guys come out here and watch our match tonight? We are affording you the privilege of ringside seats for great tag team wrestling. How can you deny that, Matt and Jet? If you truly love pro wrestling, come on down here and watch how it's done, and watch how it will be done to you next week. And after that bold statement, out come the Hardys. No music, just coming out together. But they come out and they get a couple of folding chairs and they sit down. Now, obviously, things are tense. There's a couple of words spat back and forth, but Matt and Jeff come out and they sit down. So it looks like the Hardys are actually going to do this. No, they are not on commentary. I am vehemently against having anyone other than commentators on commentary.
Also, because you don't want to give Matt Hardy a microphone right now.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, you're wrong. You're not wrong, but it's not even that. It's just that I feel like the commentator booth and that privilege of owning and carrying the show and guiding the show along gets lost when you're trying to also add an angle into it. Because then the angle becomes more of the forefront than the commentary, and then you find this like they're almost always jockeying for position or fighting, trying to push. Every so often it's okay, but like it's something that's been so overdone that it's lost a lot of its meaning. So I'm really trying to keep some of these things like that sparing, so it feels like it has more gravitas at the time.
That's good. You're trying to keep things important.
That's right. Which is not easy
for the sake of an angle or sake of a match.
Which is another thing just to mention about this. That is not an easy thing to do. It's sometimes you want to do something because it would be cool, or if it's got some, a finish would be nice, but you have to think about the repercussions of each move you make and what it does to the overall value of what you're doing and the people involved and the format you're presenting. And that's a lot to juggle.
Agreed. And even the best wrestlers who have the gift of gab don't make for great commentary.
No, it's true.
It doesn't translate easily.
It's true. And my favorite guy to use currently right now for that is Randy Savage. Savage was okay on commentary, but it was not his wheelhouse. His wheelhouse was the promos, and it just or Dusty is another good one. Dusty is a tremendous talker, but his commentary left a little bit to be desired. Booker T, another good example.
The only one who really translated was probably Jesse the Body Ventura.
Taz came into his own. Gorilla came into his own. Bobby Heenan, obviously. I mean, he was just terrific at everything. So he's kind of an anomaly in and of himself. But it's and Perfect wasn't bad either. We could have a whole other show just based on that alone. But let's continue on. And so this is where we are now. So here's the finish for this match. It's, of course, Hanson Rowe versus FTR. This match goes about 14 minutes. There's a good comeback. This is probably the most competitive Hanson and Rowe match we've seen. Hanson goes and hits the handspring elbow and works with the comeback. Then Cornette, as it looks like FTR is going to, things are looking a little shady, he gets on the apron. As Corny gets on the apron and starts arguing with the referee, Matt gets up and pulls Corny down. And Corny now is like the chicken shit heel. And he's like, whoa, wait, hey, you don't want to fight me. You don't want to hit me at all. And all that while, Corny is being backed slowly towards Jeff. But before there's even like the sandwich, because, Jim kind of looks behind him and sees Jeff's behind him and Matt's in front of him. But before anything happens, Dax darts out of the ring, slides out and attacks Matt and saves Jim. And Jim kind of hits the skids. Now, while this is happening, Rowe was the one who got beaten on pretty badly over the course of the match. He's the one who got the heat. So he's still selling a lot of his stuff. While this is so just keep that in mind as this continues on. But as Cash, who's in the ring and is the legal man, sees Dax go out and hit Matt, Cash gets distracted by what's going on there. And when he turns, he gets a huge boot by Hanson. And it looks like they've got the match won. The cover 1, 2, Dax rolls in at the nick of time, gets the 4, breaks up the count. And FTR, who are just pissed off that this whole thing has happened and that the Hardys nearly cost them a match, non-title as it were, takes Hanson, throws him over the top rope, and that is a top rope disqualification.
Wow. They just didn't care.
Hanson and Rowe pick up the win. FTR obviously kept the titles. But this was and they're holding on to the titles, and Hanson and they threw out Hanson and Rowe and they're like, get out of here. And Corny takes the mic, and the Hardys are like, what the hell was that? They're like, they're coming in, they're talking smack, but Corny gets a microphone and says, listen, boys, this is how it goes down. Next week, we are the champs. We are always going to be the champs, bottom line. And the best thing about being the champ is that we don't have to win. You have to win. We can get disqualified. You saw how simple it was tonight? We do that to you next week, boom, championships are right back in our grasp. We want to hit you with a chair, we'll do it. We want to stand outside the ring and walk away. We'll walk away with belts in hand. You got to beat us. We don't got to beat you. And come hell or high water, no matter how we got to do it, these belts are staying in the hands of the cult.
That's underhanded. You have to hand it to them for taking advantage of the rules. They don't have to win next week. They just have to make sure the Hardys don't.
Right. Exactly. And that's and it's an interesting take, especially because it kind of it exposes that FTR is intimidated by what the Hardys are and knows that there's a good chance that the Hardys will and can actually beat them.
The Hardys are legitimately one of the best tag teams in history, and FTR, while they are good on their own, they may not be ready to be able to beat the Hardys.
Well, and if you recall, in week 1, it took a cheating scheme from Jim Cornette to beat the Hardys in the first place, which is why the Hardys were annoyed to begin with, is that they got screwed out of the championships from week 1, and here they are watching FTR not care, and so now it's come down to this. So next week, FTR, the Hardys, for the ACPW Tag Team Championships, the third tag match consecutively this week we've built. Winter Warcraft shaping up.
It is.
Now, we move on to our final match of the night, but not our final segment of the night, final match of the night. And the final match is MJF versus Robert Roode. Now, before we get to this, oh, snap, did I miss it? You know what? I did. We got to backtrack a little ways. I'm sorry. This is the sake of what? Go ahead.
Right before this match begins, we have a segment.
No, this is like, we got to backtrack actually like a ways. We got to hop into a time machine real quick. Because I did.
Oh, no.
Because I was not going to.
Oh, no.
I was not going to put this. I was not going to put this right before this match. You know what? I am going to put this right before this match. It is going to be the segment right before this match. I think that's better. I think that's better, Sky. You've actually improved my show from me messing up. So what we've got. So what we've got is a Tony Schiavone is backstage with Cody Rhodes.
Ooh.
And if you recall, MJF last week issued the challenge to Cody that if Cody was able, he'd give him another match to further expose the type of selfish con man that Cody Rhodes is. So Tony Schiavone is with Cody Rhodes, and Tony says, well, Cody, MJF issued the challenge last week, and he said a lot of inflammatory things about you. And it's now is your time to kind of let it out and let on your air. So tell us what's on your mind. Cody says, Tony, I'm heartbroken, man. I'm heartbroken because there was a man that I believed in, that I worked hard to build and create and captivate and make a prodigy, a true real-life superhero, a wrestling specimen unlike any you've ever seen. And I have achieved that status. That's who I am. I've got the lineage to prove it. And then I've got a guy like MJF, who besmirches my father's name and besmirches the genetics that I have perfected. I'm no longer considered the son of a plumber or the grandson of a plumber. I am wrestling royalty. And to have a man mooch off wrestling royalty in the name of besmirching my good father's name and beating me when he knows I have made everything that MJF is constituted. It is my creation. I create stars. MJF is my creation, and I will take out my creation because I will not have my reputation suffer. Because MJF thinks he's better than everybody else and wants to earn it and wants to prove it. He doesn't have me fooled because I'm ashamed that I let myself be susceptible to such a man when my reputation means more than anything he's ever done. So yes, MJF, I accept your challenge. Yes, MJF, I'm going to beat you down and make you pay, and moreover, put you in your place, because when it comes to pass next week, there will only be one man standing. Excuse me, Tony.
Intense promo by one Cody Rhodes.
What do you think about that promo?
It's a very, very good promo. Cody Rhodes, I love him when he's fired up. And right now, he's a fired up man because he wants a piece of MJF. And he feels that MJF has disrespected his legacy. And as we both know, legacy is very important to the Rhodes family.
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. This is my thing. MJF, his whole point has been, I want to make everyone realize just how selfish Cody Rhodes truly is, how much it's about Cody, and it's not about guys like MJF. And yes, he knew I was better than him. That's not what we're talking about here. But Cody is not a good man. Cody is a man who uses people to fulfill his own selfish desires. And so if I've got to beat him again to prove it, that's what I'm going to do. This promo kind of proves MJF right.
Well, you are kind of right in what, and MJF is kind of right in what he says. But the thing about it is that it doesn't matter what the moral of your character is as long as you get the win.
True. Let me pose you this. Do you think that MJF is getting into Cody's head and that Cody is starting to believe in his own hype and believe that his legacy means more now?
You are not wrong. That is something that I have noticed, that Cody, as fired up as he is, he's letting MJF get into his head. He's letting him know that MJF is there.
And now here comes the match. I think this is really going to throw you, and it's going to set up what I think to be possibly next week, when it comes and goes, potentially the best piece of booking I've ever put together, if it comes together right.
All right.
So this is the setup. MJF versus Robert Roode. This match goes 20 minutes. Here's the finish. MJF does in this match, because if you recall, MJF said he earns his reputation of being better than everybody. MJF fights Robert Roode. There are several times when MJF looks like he's gonna heal it up, and maybe he'll flip off the audience or something like that, but he doesn't quite punch. He doesn't really do it. He continues to wrestle. At the end of the 20 minutes, as MJF looks like he's about to do the heat seeker, but MJF's about to do the heat seeker, but Robert Roode gets out of it, and both are kind of in one corner, and just as they're about to fight again, the bell rings. 20-minute time limit, clean draw. Now, this is what happens. MJF's pissed because he lost. Well, he didn't win, so, if you don't win, you lose.
Win the match.
But MJF, he's looking at his hand. He's getting really pissed. He sees Robert Roode over there, and MJF, he looks like he's about to punch. He's about to punch and extends the hand. And Robert Roode kind of looks around like real confused, right? Like this is MJF we're talking about, right? MJF is
right.
Extending his hand. This can't be right. Robert Roode kind of goes up and very, very hesitantly, but he kind of nods his head, and he shakes MJF's hand. It's real quick, but it does happen, and then MJF pulls away. But you do get the handshake. But MJF looks conflicted. He's conflicted that he just shook that guy's hand for going 20 minutes, but he did it. Rude leaves. And as MJF is kind of contemplating what he just did, and he's kind of like nodding his head like, all right, that wasn't bad. All right. And as soon as that happens, from behind, Cody Rhodes jumps MJF and the two brawl. And Cody's really vicious here, like a rabid dog, just going after MJF. And MJF's kind of covering up. He's hitting some punches back and forth. And eventually they have to be pulled apart by the referees until some stability is restored. But these two, last man standing, Cody Rhodes, MJF, Winter Warcraft. Your thoughts?
That's very interesting because MJF, we know him to be one of those guys who takes liberties with the rules when he gets the opportunity to, but he didn't in that match. And there were times where it looked like he could, but he didn't. And now Cody's the one who's being the much nastier guy. He's the one who's taking advantage of situations because he attacked him from behind.
That's right. I mean, and to be fair, Cody does want to get his hands on MJF because MJF did beat Cody in that match in the street fight. He did say some besmirching things about his father, which Cody would take exception to. But this is a much more aggressive Cody Rhodes, and I don't know. There's a weird dynamic going into this. It's a weird dynamic. It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. But certainly complex. And that is what I like to give. Simple stories with complex interweavings in between. So, the final match. Well, that was the final match. Our final segment.
Our main event segment.
Our main event segment. Goddamn contract signing. So, Arn Anderson is in the ring. We're gonna have a big conference here in our. It's in a big conference room, somewhere on the East Coast, probably in West Newbury. So Brian Cage is in the ring with the belt with Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to sign the contract for Winter Warcraft, the heavyweight championship match of the world of ACPW. Brian Cage, the Machine, going up against the Hawaiian Lion, Jeff Cobb." And Brian Cage is in the ring. Says, "Now we just need to get Jeff Cobb in here to be able to finish this contract signing, and then this match will be certified, good to go, all set, taken care of." And instead of Jeff Cobb coming out, only Jim Cornette appears and walks down towards the ring. And as Cornette gets into the ring, Arn Anderson says, "Corny, it's Jim, it's good to see you here, but we noticed that Jeff Cobb is not here, so we need Jeff Cobb out here to sign the contract." And Jim Cornette says, "No, you don't. I have power of attorney over Jeff Cobb. That is a manager's right. I can pull out my managing license, Mr. Anderson, which I bet you don't have, even though you've managed before. Where are your credentials?" "No, you don't have any credentials? Oh, what a surprise. Well, don't worry about it because I'm about to school you in education. I'm going to school you in legal battles because, see, I have power of attorney, which means I can write down my client's name and certify this match is legal." And then Brian Cage takes the mic and says, "What, Jim? Is Jeff afraid? Is he afraid to come and face me? For somebody who is supposed to be so dominant, now he can't look me eye to eye, face to face for the heavyweight championship of the world that I've earned? If he's this bad, where is he?" And Corny says, "Oh, no. You're not going to get into my head, Brian, because I'm already in your head. And Jeff is already in your head. The reason that Jeff Cobb is not out here tonight is that I don't want to deprive the people of seeing the match that they've signed for. If Jeff were here tonight, he'd destroy you tonight. And I don't want to do that to you tonight. This is not when you two are going to meet. We're going to meet when it's about business. And when business comes to pass, that belt that we've always deserved, that was averted from us when we were not put in to the heavyweight championship 4-man tournament to begin ACPW. And from then on, we've done nothing but prove and destroy and leave a pile of wreckage in our wake. That's what Jeff Cobb is capable of. I don't want to do that to you tonight, Brian. Tonight, I want to keep things civil. So in keeping things civil, I'm going to sign my client's name onto this contract, and that's going to be that. But let me ask you something. And so Jim Cornette, he signs the contract. Brian Cage signs the contract, and Jim said, and Arn's like, well, I guess it's official. I guess it's official. So this match will take place. And Cornette says, I'm not done, because I got to ask a question to you, Brian Cage. Do you realize what you've just done? Do you realize what you've just signed? What you've just signed isn't a contract for a heavyweight championship match. It's a death warrant. It's an autopsy certificate. You have signed away your life to the mercy of my Jeff Cobb. And you know what the best part about Jeff Cobb and myself is that I know Jeff Cobb is capable of taking that heavyweight championship away from you, bar none. No disputing it. I'm not saying that there is. But that's the joy of being a man of my stature at this point in the game, is that the cult of Cornette knows no bounds between tag champions, a future world champion, and anyone I so choose to bring into the fold. I've made many contacts over the years. I've made my share of enemies, but I've made far more friends. And Brian, enjoy that championship around your waist. Sleep with it in your bed tonight, Brian, because come this time next week, the cult of Cornette will be the strongest it's ever been, with tag champions and a world champion deserving of the name world champion. And you will know his name, Jeff Cobb. And what will your wife think of you? What will Melissa think of you when you're left broken on the ground, crying like the child you are at the hands of a real man in Jeff Cobb? Well, hell, maybe she'll just want Jeff Cobb. Now, when Jim says that, of course, Brian Cage reaches across the table and grabs Cornette by the tie, and as Jim's feet are about to go wee up on the, then comes Jeff Cobb from behind, and Jeff Cobb comes and just takes Brian Cage down. Doesn't do anything big. He just attack. You know, it's like a couple punches from behind. There's no big. He doesn't do the deadlift power slam. It's just a couple shots from behind, and then another one of his big tosses. He does like a belly to belly. And because I didn't want to do this, but because it is a contract signing, I feel like I have no choice. Jeff Cobb takes Brian Cage, belly to bellies him through the table because it's a contract signing. And how could you have a contract signing without putting somebody through a table? You can't. You can't. So Jeff Cobb.
You could, but it'd be really boring.
It would. It would. So Jeff Cobb does the belly to belly. Brian Cage through the table. Just takes 1 foot. Now lays 1 foot on Brian Cage's chest. Jim Cornette goes down and full counts the 3. 1, 2, 3. And Jeff Cobb lifts the heavyweight championship above his head. And Jim Cornette just laughs. And that, and the visual of Jeff Cobb holding the belt and Jim Cornette laughing and smiling at what he views to be the future. The show fades to black. We will see you at Winter Warcraft.
Even though it was a contract signing, it was a very good segment. It was a very good promo. Props to you, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, excuse me one moment, because I need to find the binder that has all of my gear. And I'm going to recite to you the card for this Winter Warcraft as soon as I can find it. I've got a lot of paperwork, folks. There's a lot of paperwork. But you know what? This is how I do things, and now we will have a paper trail.
He's checking his list. He's checking it twice. You're gonna see who's naughty and nice.
That's if this is even in the if it's even in this folder. Because I had this, I was toying with these earlier, and now I can't find the piece of paperwork I need. So, Skylar, I'm gonna let you for this quick moment cut another plug. Give him another plug while I find this piece of paper.
So, I'd like to talk about my show that's coming up, NWL WrestleFestival.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you the match listings as it goes on.
Okay.
So we have our main event of the evening, Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns in an Iron Man match, 30 minutes for the National Wrestling League main event World Championship.
Boy, that sounds kind of familiar, Sky. Are you sure somebody didn't copy you?
Yes, they fucking did. And I'm going to sue them. Stole my fucking main event that's ability for 4 months.
And go back, folks, and look at the ACPW versus NWL. You could see that Sky, actually for several weeks now, several months now, has been building up to this Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns match. Very well, I might add, a lot better than WWE has. And then all of a sudden, WWE's like, oh, hey, we're going to give you this same match on the same week in the same place. So...
But we're going to do it with Drew McIntyre having a sword, because you don't have a sword.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But, well, you can always have one. I mean, this is your main show.
But it's not going to be as good as the one Vince McMahon got from Triple H.
No, it's going to be like a Renaissance Fair $30 Chinese-made.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get into
that's the main event of the evening. The co-main event is Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens. The winner becomes the number one contender for either Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns at the December show.
Got it.
We have, and I'm not proud of this match because I'm not happy with it, but it is what it is. It's Charlotte Flair defending the NWL Women's Championship against the entire division.
Oh, come on.
Because I had to get everyone on the show. And I wasn't happy about it, but I'm giving you a 6-1 match.
All right.
Hell in a Cell, Usos versus New Day for the Tag Team Championships.
Right.
Edge versus Seth Rollins, 1-on-1.
Yep.
Keith Lee versus Andrade Cien Almas for the NWL International Championship.
Okay.
The other match I'm not proud about for this event.
Oh, boy.
Tag Team Gauntlet match. The winning tag team becomes the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championships in December.
Okay.
And then finally, we have a segment to begin the show. Now, this segment takes place before the show actually begins, so technically it's the pre-show.
Okay. Before you get to that, though, Sky, I want to pass this off to you proper. But I want to give the card. I found the piece of paper.
All right, go ahead.
So before we get to the main show, the big show. Well, it's a big show. Before we get to that. It's a big bad show tonight. Anyway, so Winter Warcraft next month. For ACPW before we get to WrestleFestival. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 match card. 2 of those matches have no build because they're just setup matches. They're just like, hey, welcome to the show. So this is in no particular order, mind you. We've had signed. We have Walter versus Glenn Jacobs, formerly known as Fake Diesel. We have Robert Roode going up against the last real man, Silas Young. Those are the 2 that didn't have any build. We have Heath Slater taking on Pentagon Jr. with Zelina Vega, which has had a build. We have the Shorty G versus Titus O'Neil. in a one-on-one match. We have the Briscoes taking on Outlaw Inc., Eddie Kingston and Homicide. We have Adam Cole and Roderick Strong going up against Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly for the honor of Britt Baker. We have the Tag Team Championship matchup between FTR, the defending champions, against the Hardys. We have the Last Man Standing match between Cody Rhodes and MJF. And last but not least, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match, the ACPW Heavyweight title. Brian Cage, the defending champion, goes one-on-one with Jeff Cobb, with Jim Cornette. It is a Haas fight for the ages. It is the culmination of several stories come together, all in the name of terrific professional wrestling that is Atlantic Coast Pro Wrestling. Can't wait to see you guys next month for that match and for that show. With that said, A, are you excited for Winter Warcraft?
Yes, I am. I got my ticket.
Hell yeah.
I'm ready to go.
And now that I have my ticket punched, and I'm in the front row with my mask on, theoretically, for NWL WrestleFestival. Let's get it out.
All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Here. Why don't you do a bumper?
All right.
Two bumpers.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I want to let you know that in addition to doing these podcasts, at least while my laptop is getting fixed, in addition to doing the podcast live, we are still doing Match of the Weeks. And we are going to have a Match of the Week. The link is not in the description yet, but it will be in the description after this video is done and processed and been out for a day or so. But I am going to be doing Match of the Weeks. We're going to have another one, great one coming up. I don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be great. You're just going to have to take my word for it. But we still are going to be doing those every Tuesday. So stay tuned for those. A lot more exciting things coming up in the Court Martial podcast. We are not going to be doing a Survivor Series review because we are going to be doing that with Josh Geddon instead. So we are going to just send the link. We're going to do our own show that week, the Survivor Series week, and we may talk a little bit about Survivor Series, but it's not going to be a full-fledged review because we are going to defer that to the Totally Awesome podcast from our sister channel, the TAW Gaming. We'll have the link for that as well, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and elbow drop that bell button for everything CMP and everything that myself and Skylar are doing. There is a lot to do. There's a lot to be done, like WrestleFestival. Are you ready, Sky?
I am. Thank you for the plug, and I'm looking forward now. I'm looking forward to one match on Survivor Series, and it's the one I built.
Yeah, it's your match.
It's my baby that they're going to ruin.
Well, I
know they're going to ruin it.
I'm just over. Oh, t-shirt contest. It Survivor Series just kind of lost its flavor for me. Even though a lot of them recently have actually been fairly good, not the matches themselves, but like the actual shows in general. But we'll see.
Yeah, you can't get me excited about this concept.
Not this one.
Not when it's been done. Not when it's been done to death.
Yeah. All right, take it away, Sky.
Well, we're getting a hell of ourselves. Let's talk about a show I'm actually excited to
Let's talk about WrestleFestival.
So, yes, we are. Now, before the show begins, on the pre-show, we take a camera backstage and we go to the office of our general manager, Kurt Angle. And in the office is one Nick Aldis.
Oh, really?
And Nick Aldis. Yes, and Nick Aldis is pleading his case with Kurt Angle to get him an NWA World Title match.
Okay.
Because apparently, according to Nick Aldis, he can't get a title match with Billy Corgan because he's not going to let him.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt Angle says, first off, you lost your title.
He did.
Second, you lost your rematch.
True.
Third, that title's not even our promotion's championship.
True.
And fourth, Tim Storm is already the NWA champion. So if you want the title, go fight it.
Fair.
So, but Nick Aldis says, please, come on, give me a chance. I know you and Billy Corgan are tight. Do me a solid.
To me, a solid.
Kurt Angle, with his arms crossed, says, if anything, you should be worried about your position here because you haven't been building up to what we expected you to be. So I'm laying the law down. You have a match tonight opening the show against Zack Ryder. And if you lose, you're done.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nick Aldis is furious. Nick Aldis is furious, but he has nothing else to say. He walks out the office in a heat. Kurt Angle sits back down. Hornswoggle walks into the office, and Kurt Angle says, "You're fired. Get out of here." Hornswoggle looks up and leaves.
God, who pissed in Kurt Angle's Wheaties this morning, man? God,
Nick Aldis trying to.
He's in a bad mood.
Nick Aldis trying to be a dick and get a championship match where a title is not even in our own company.
Well, you can't blame Nick Aldis for trying, but you also can't blame Kurt Angle for kind of laying down the law there.
Yeah. Also, the Hornswoggle thing, I actually had something more planned out, and then Dynamite happened.
It's okay. It's okay.
Do we want to explain what happened on Dynamite?
Do you want to explain what happened on Dynamite?
Sure. So the Inner Circle had a skit involving them going to Vegas, and they did the typical get drunk and then wake up after a party hangover bit, and they find Hornswoggle in a diaper crying.
Why? And I
exercised my I do not need goofy wrestlers on my roster thing. So I fired Hornswoggle. He's done. He's not here anymore.
And the last of the teeny dominoes falls.
I was originally going to plan to fire him and have him be a road agent along with Pat Patterson.
Okay.
But I'm just like, no.
Fair enough.
No, I don't want him around anymore.
I mean, Hornswoggle probably would have something to contribute as a road agent. I'm not sure what, but something.
Right. I mean, he's a veteran of the business. He's been around. He knows how wrestling works.
He does work. I mean, he was the last Cruiserweight champion before they revived it.
Yep. But speaking of people who may not have a job anymore, we have our opening match of the show just made right now. Zack Ryder versus number 10 ranked Nick Aldis.
And this is with more than just the ranking on the line.
It's more than just the ranking. Nick Aldis' job is on the line. This match is 7 minutes, and it's 6.5 minutes of Nick Aldis kicking Zack Ryder's ass. Zack Ryder maybe gets one or two punches here and there and a couple of flurries, but the whole time it's Nick Aldis putting the boot to Zack Ryder. And the whole time he is jawing with the fans. He's yelling at them. He's screaming at them. He's telling them to shut up, to go home. He doesn't need their ugly mugs here anymore. Nick Aldis is furious, but he's also leaving himself distracted. The finish comes when Nick Aldis goes off the ropes, hits the big boot on Zack Ryder, and Zack Ryder goes down. But rather than make a cover, Nick Aldis sees a fan in the stand that he doesn't like. He points the finger at him, goes over to the ropes, and starts yelling at him. Zack Ryder from behind with a roll-up. Cover. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
It's over. It's done.
It's so unlike Nick Aldis to lose his focus like that.
He got a little too angry.
Yeah, it's like he definitely lost his cool. Well, I mean, it's been tough on him. I could understand him being that way. It's surprising that he would be that short-sighted about it. But desperate men do desperate things, man.
Well, it's not necessarily desperation. It's more of the fact that he has been playing around with Kurt Angle. He set up that phony gauntlet match.
Yeah. That was how it started.
Yep, he cheated to keep the title away from Keith Lee. He lost it in a legitimate, fair match, 3-on-3, 6-man tag.
Yep.
He lost the rematch. Now he comes to Kurt Angle on the day of WrestleFestival, and you come here and you ask me for a wrestling match.
On the day of my daughter's wedding, no less.
On the day of my WrestleMania, you come here asking for a wrestling match.
It's funny.
But Nick Aldis is done. Zack Ryder is now
Wow,
ranked number 10.
that's jaw dropping. I mean, good for Zack Ryder to get that win and to beat a guy like that.
Oh yes, but we have another match. And speaking of gauntlets, the tag team gauntlet match. The tag teams that are in this gauntlet match are the Bar, the Golden Lovers, the Almighty Crew, Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews,
right?
The Wild Cards, and Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake.
Right. I honestly forgot that the Golden Lovers were even on your show.
Well, you're not going to forget them because they are the unlucky team that has drawn number 1.
Well, and they also were, if I recall correctly, there was some dissent amongst the ranks last week when one of them cost the other the tag team championships. Am I correct in that assumption?
No, they were wrestling a match against the Bar. And
it was just a regular match. Okay, I thought, yeah.
Kota Ibushi to get into the ring because he wanted to get the pin and get the glory.
Right.
And it cost him the match.
Right.
And they're making their entrance for this match, and they're not on the same page. So it's Kenny Omega, as the goof that he is, stands on the stage to do a pose, and Kota Ibushi just walks by and shoves the shoulder into him. And Kenny Omega's asking, what the hell was that?
Rough.
And these two are just yelling at each other as they're walking to the ring.
Brutal.
And then so Kota Ibushi's going to start off this match, and he's going to start off against the Wild Cards, Thomas Latimer and Royce Isaacs.
Yep.
So the Wild Cards make their entrance. And as the bell rings for this match, Kenny Omega, within 1 second, backslack tag.
Oh, no.
He tags himself in.
No. There's never a good time for a backslap tag.
But especially when these two when these two guys can't even get together. So
Brutal.
Kenny Omega is now going to start this match. It's a very quick 2 or 3 minute match. Kenny Omega, as much as a goof as he is also a really good wrestler.
Sometimes.
He just takes it to the Wild Cards. He doesn't even need Kota Ibushi's help. He continuously throws him around. He does his stupid little prancy steps. But he also throws in a couple of nice suplexes. He does the V trigger on one. He does the V trigger on the other. He hits the one-winged fairy move. I don't remember what it's called.
One-winged angel.
On Thomas Latimer, cover 1, 2, 3. So they move on.
Yeah.
Tag team gauntlet.
Interesting.
And the next tag team is Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake. And as those two get to the apron, Kenny Omega is about to begin this match. Kota Ibushi with the backslash tag.
Oh, no.
And now he gets into the ring.
Oh, no.
And Kenny Omega's looking mad at him, but Kota Ibushi, right away, a strong kick right to the head of Buddy Murphy. And Buddy Murphy rolls out of the ring. Wesley Blake sees this. He gets into the ring and tries to fight Kota Ibushi, but Kota Ibushi, another kick to his head. They both roll out to the ring on the outside. Kota Ibushi goes off the ropes, runs to the top rope, and does a moonsault on top of Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake. And right before he did it, he did a little salute to Kenny Omega.
Jeez.
He does the moonsault, rolls Buddy Murphy back into the ring, positions him for the Golden Star Powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. But now, Kenny Omega gets into the ring, and he shoves Ibushi. And these two men are mere inches away from each other, yelling and screaming at each other. This dysfunctional tag team is coming to blows, and they're still going to move on in this gauntlet.
Yeah. Wow. There's what a dynamic this is. This is definitely confusing.
But now we have the next tag team, and these guys had better get together because it is the Almighty Crew.
Oh,
Bobby
snap.
Lashley, Apollo Crews, and their manager, Eric Bischoff.
He's back and better than ever.
Yes, he is.
He's got a knack for making things better. Face facts, because your opinion don't matter.
Because this maniac is going to step
on whoever. Hey, ho, 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 ho. Anyway, continue.
Anyways, so Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley get to the ring apron, and Apollo Crews is going to start off this match.
Yeah.
The bell rings, but before these teams get involved, Eric Bischoff has a microphone in his hands on the outside. And he says, now, Kenny, Kota, I want you both to know that what's about to happen to you is not personal. Boys, if you would, please.
Business.
At this, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi are blindsided by Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews. They charge them and start beating the ever-living piss out of them. The referee is trying to pull off both of these guys, but he can't do it. So he starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
And he throws out for the bell, and they are counted out immediately. They are disqualified.
Really?
But they do not give a damn. Apollo Crews puts Kenny Omega in the body lock. Bobby Lashley puts Apollo Crews. Ah, damn it.
I know what you meant. He puts Omega, right?
Yes, Bobby Lashley puts Kenny Omega in the body lock. And then Apollo Crews gets Kota Ibushi on the ground in an armbar. At this point, it's pandemonium. Referees and producers are spilling out from the back, and they're trying to pull off these two guys off of Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. The whole time at ringside, Eric Bischoff is laughing. He's enjoying this. Finally, after a few minutes, he grabs the microphone and says, all right, that's enough. Let them go. At this, Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley let the submission holds go, and they stand by Eric Bischoff. And Eric Bischoff, smiling once again, says, so I'm sure many of you are questioning why I just have my tag team disqualify themselves.
True.
You must understand something. The tag team championships will belong to us. That's not going to be that's not a spoiler. It's prophecy. But you see, I want these guys to make a statement that there is no other tag team who will dominate like these two are. You're looking at two of the physically gifted athletes in wrestling. And what they've just done is pure proof of that.
There you go.
In the meantime, we're going to make ourselves the biggest stars that there is. And once we're the biggest stars, we're going to come for those tag titles. And once we have them, we're not only going to be the biggest, we're going to be the baddest. Now, Kota, Kenny, good luck in your next match. You're going to need it.
Yes, they sure will.
So what do you think of Eric Bischoff purposely having his team disqualify themselves in order to make a statement?
I don't mind it. It's a little confusing just for the fact that we only have 1 week or 1 month left. But I think that considering that these two just came in and they don't really have much identity beyond the fact that I'm Bobby Lashley and I'm Apollo Crews and this is Eric Bischoff, I think it's helpful to get something like that to kind of establish the tone and the demeanor of what you're going for. So I like this. I think it works. The only thing I have something that like kind of a question about is I'm not sure I like Eric saying that we're going to wait until we're stars, because Eric Bischoff would be one of the guys who'd be like, no, we are already stars, but we just want to wait until some of these guys come and go before we seize our opportunity. But other than that, I really like it.
It's a minor thing, but I want to build them up because this is a tag team that no one knew existed,
Right.
And you have to establish the identity. And maybe
Yes.
they were stars as singles wrestlers, but they're not stars as a tag team. And
Right.
if you want to build up a tag team, you got to make a statement.
Right. And that I like. I like conceptually, I like all of this. It's just that one little piece, just the little piece of verbiage. But everything else, I'm interested to see where they head, because they're obviously going to make more than just this statement. No doubt about that.
Very true, my friend. But unfortunately for Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, they're left in the ring, and there's one final tag team left in this gauntlet, and they have to be licking their chops. It is the Bar.
Yes, sir.
The
Former
Bar.
NWL,
The
former
Bar don't even
ACPW.
Yep. So Cesaro and Sheamus, they take their time walking to the ring. They don't do the rush like they normally do in tag team gauntlets because they know their opponents are injured.
Yep.
And Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega are barely up to their feet. And by the time they're up to their feet, Sheamus comes into the ring and clotheslines both of them.
Jeez.
And then it's a systematic destruction of Kota Ibushi. Sheamus and Cesaro provide great tag team work. Both of these guys just doing everything and anything they can to weaken Kota Ibushi.
Class
Kenny Omega
X.
is on the ring apron, but he is gassed. And Kota Ibushi tried several times to make the hot tag to Kenny Omega, but he just can't seem to do it. Finally, after several minute beatdown, he pushes off Cesaro, who is the legal man. He goes for the tag. He finally makes the tag, and Kenny Omega comes in and starts laying the blows to Cesaro. He starts throwing him around and throwing him into his knees. He does several strikes, drop kicks. He throws everything but the kitchen sink at Cesaro. He goes to Sheamus and he throws him off of the apron too with a solid punch, even though Kenny Omega's punches really suck.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And finally, after this hot flurry, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, they do a tag, and it's a legal tag, and it's a significant tag because it shows that they're working together.
That they're back
they
as
do
a
double
team.
move on Cesaro. They lift him up and they throw him down together.
Yeah.
And both of these guys, through their trials and tribulations, are working together to win this match, but they can't get the victory because Cesaro kicks out. And
Oh,
it's a
shame.
flying now because these two teams are at each other's wits. Kota Ibushi and Cesaro. Kota trying to set up for the powerbomb, but Sheamus gets involved. Kenny Omega comes into the ring off the ropes and springboards on the Sheamus. Then he's going to punch Sheamus, but as he goes for it, Sheamus ducks and Kenny Omega strikes Kota Ibushi.
Oh, no.
And Kenny Omega looks angry. He asks Kota why the hell he was there. In all this, the confusion, Cesaro throws Kenny Omega outside the ring. He grabs Kota Ibushi. He hits the neutralizer. Cover. 1, 2, 3. The Bar have won the tag team gauntlet, and they are the #1 contenders for the tag team championships.
Wow. Well, good for them, but clearly trouble in paradise again. I think I said this the last time too, with Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. I mean, it stems more than just a disconnect. There's definitely more to this than just a disconnect.
Clearly there is. Cesaro and Sheamus, they leave the ring, and Kota Ibushi is struggling to get up. As he's finally on his knees, Kenny Omega gets into the ring. He looks frustrated. He looks at his hand, then he looks at his tag team partner. He grabs Kota Ibushi and hits the B trigger on Kota Ibushi's head.
Had to see that coming.
No more words. Kenny Omega just walks off.
It's a shame. It's a Sheamus.
It's a shameful thing.
It's a Sheamus.
Monster head.
It's, well, you look at where they were from the start, where they were just another tag team in the fold. They didn't really get anywhere. They had these median wins, and Kenny Omega is a guy who very much believes in Kenny Omega, and he unfortunately did not have that available to him with Kota Ibushi by his side. And that at the end of the day, when it's the Kenny Omega show,
wants the glory for himself.
That's right.
And he feels that Kota Ibushi lost the match for their team.
It makes sense. I understand. I mean, I not only understand his frustration, but I also understand why he would V-trigger Kota. But these two obviously are going to have to settle this at some point.
Yes, it will. So that was a lot for a tag team gauntlet match. But I think I told the story pretty well.
I think so too. I think that I like that it really was framed mostly around Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, but you still made everybody else feel at least somewhat important, in the grand scheme of what you were aiming for. So no, it came together well.
And you want to know something that going to totally admit right now, I stole this format from the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns gauntlet match on SmackDown about 6 years ago.
You know, but 6 years ago is a good chunk of time to do something like that. You know, that 6 years is a good cycle. But if it works, it works.
It clearly defines that Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega are both dangerous wrestlers because they each beat a tag team.
Yep.
Established the Almighty Crew as a force.
Yep.
Got the Bar a tag team title shot.
Yep.
And now we're going to lead into a possible feud and match between Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I've got I would say mission accomplished there, buddy. It's you got everything you wanted out of it.
Mm-hmm. So our next match is for the International Championship. It is Andrade Cien Almas, ranked number 8, versus Keith Lee, ranked number 9. Are you ready for this, Sean?
I'm ready for this. Let's hear it.
Because, as you know, Andrade feels that Keith Lee is not a real champion and a real man because he vacated his own championship.
Right.
And Keith Lee is looking to get another piece of gold to add to his collection.
Right.
So they both are in the ring, and they do a collar and elbow tie-up. And Andrade Cien Almas is going immediately for the Hammerlock DDT. But as he goes for it, once he gets stopped. Twice he gets stopped. A third time he gets stopped. And then Keith Lee grabs Andrade Cien Almas, lifts him up into the air, and then Andrade hits the mat. He gets back up, clutching his chest. Keith Lee grabs him for a powerbomb. Cover. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Only 1 minute.
Wow. That's, you want to talk about a short order match. Thanks for coming, Andrade. Jesus God. That's, well, there's anyone who's going to be able to do that, it's Keith Lee.
Yep. And it was more, to be clear, this is more about establishing Keith Lee as a dominant force than it is about burying Andrade. I
of course.
Andrade.
Yeah, of course.
But it's also because I just had a tag team gauntlet match and I need to get through the show.
Well, and I think that, honestly, that would be a good shock for people. Andrade, honestly, a loss to Keith Lee, I don't think does him that much damage. All you know, it's considering what Keith Lee has been able to accomplish, but also just for the fact that Andrade's been going on an absolute tear lately himself. This would, and it also leads to more intrigue down the line.
But it's also the thing of, I just had a really long match, and now it's balanced by a really short match.
Yeah, it's nice to get the leveling out in that respect, definitely.
Right. So now, a video package airs, and this highlights the Edge and Seth Rollins feud. And Seth Rollins offered to join Edge refusing because Seth Rollins mentioned his daughter's names. And then, Seth Rollins, in the course of the last few weeks on TV with the context of their television happening, taunting Edge. Edge has gotten singles victories over Seth Rollins' Black Hand of Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, but he can't get his hand on the Messiah. But now it's going to happen. So Seth Rollins, he makes his entrance for this match after this video package airs, with his arms out, smiling like a Christ figure himself.
Like a false prophet himself.
Poses, smiling to the camera, because with that sheep-hitting grin that you know he has.
Yes, he does.
Edge does his entrance, does not stop at the stage for his usual pyro spot, walks into the ring, and before the bell even rings, throws a punch at Seth Rollins. And the referee is trying to get control of this, but Edge takes Seth Rollins and throws him out of the ring. And Edge is not interested in a wrestling match per se. He just wants to kick Seth Rollins' ass.
It's a fight. I mean,
he goes around.
You don't talk about your man's kids like that.
You do not talk about a man's kids like that. And Edge laying down the law with Seth Rollins, punch after punch after punch. He's continuously throwing him against the barricade, throwing him over the commentary table, all the time, trash-talking Seth Rollins, calling him a bastard. Seth Rollins is trying to escape. He goes to the ring apron, Edge throws a punch at Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins ducks out of the way. Edge hits the ring apron with his hand. He starts to shake his hand, and as he does, Seth Rollins gets up and hits a drop kick to Edge to the ring apron.
Damn.
And things have really blown down now. Seth Rollins rolls Edge back into the ring, and Seth Rollins gets into the ring himself, but he waits for the referee to get back in. The referee checks on Edge and sees if he's okay. And finally, the bell rings for this match. But
now
Seth
we've
Rollins
started.
takes advantage of this. Yep. The fact is that this match has not started. This all happened pre-match. But Edge's anger kind of blinded him. And now he has an injured hand. And Seth Rollins goes to work on that right hand, stomping on it, continuously working the arm. He's setting him up. He's softening him up. Edge is struggling to get through this situation. He finally gets the opportunity when he shoves off Seth Rollins. He goes clothesline with his left arm and left shoulder, not the right one, because he can't use it. He's basically a one-armed man in an ass-kicking contest. Finally, Edge has him set up. He goes for the DDT with the left hand, which is not his normal right hand, and when he goes for it, he doesn't quite get as much power. He goes for the cover. 1, 2, kick out by Seth Rollins. Edge goes to the corner, looking for the spear, looking to set up Seth Rollins for the spear. But as he does this, Wesley Blake gets to the ring apron and starts yelling at the referee. The referee starts to go over to Wesley Blake to tell him to get down. As this is happening, Buddy Murphy rolls into the ring with a chair to swing at Edge. But Edge hits the spear on Buddy Murphy before he can use the chair. Then he grabs Buddy Murphy and he throws him into Wesley Blake while the referee was still distracted. As the referee is yelling at both of those men to get out of the ring and get out of ringside, Seth Rollins grabs the chair and hits Edge in the back. He throws the chair out of the ring, goes off the ropes, and hits the stomp. The referee finally sees what's going on. He goes for the cover. He didn't see the chair. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins escapes with the victory.
Wow. What a cheat. That was Edge cannot catch a break, can he?
But he was going to win this match. Had he had hit the spear, he probably would have won this match. And Seth Rollins used the number games.
Well, Edge would have won a bunch of those matches that he didn't end up winning were it not for one move. 1 or 2 mistakes on Edge's part. And even though he had the match won, you kind of wonder whether Edge really should retire at this point. Maybe he should have taken Seth Rollins' offer because every time he's tried to win on his own, he's ended up on the wrong side of it.
That may be true, but this is not over because Edge gets up from the ring. He looks at Seth Rollins, who is standing on the stage smiling with his boys. And the anger in Edge's eyes has not dissipated. This is not over by a long shot.
Well, it's these two are definitely going to have at least one more encounter with each other. Because Edge is he's right there. He's right on the edge of getting back to that victory. No pun intended, but getting back to that margin of victory. Something that Edge desperately needs at this point.
Agreed. Also, I like this finish, but it's also a DQ on a pay-per-view.
I don't mind a DQ on a pay-per-view if there's something bigger and more meaningful overall down the line. The problem is we've been conditioned by WWE to believe that all disqualifications suck, and that's just not the case. It's just that they suck at them. So I don't mind a DQ on a pay-per-view if it fits the overall context of what you're trying to get across, which I think this does. So
thank you, my man.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. It's DQs. They serve their purpose.
This was my contract signing stereotype.
Yeah, exactly. We all got to do them.
Yeah, I have to do a DQ on a pay-per-view. Sorry, Joshua.
That's right. It's okay. I have a feeling he's not going to care.
Probably not.
But
so now we move on to Hell in a Cell. Usos versus New Day.
Oh, damn.
And
This
I
is
had
going
a
to be a
hell of a time
classic.
trying to book this match, so you'll have to forgive me, okay?
That's I have faith.
Okay. So the Usos come out, and they are bringing toys with them to the ring. They have a pair of kendo sticks, and these are regular kendo sticks, not anything special. The New Day come out, and they have their kendo sticks, and they're red and green colored. Because it's Christmas time almost.
It's Thanksgiving time. New Day. Stop this.
You gotta start your holiday cheer.
There's
So
no.
the New Day are the tag team champions. The
There's-
Usos are the number one contenders after winning the Hart Foundation Cup. And
Right.
this is their opportunity to take the championship.
Well, here we go. Let's see what happens.
The bell rings, and both of these teams are striking at each other, and they are hitting each other very hard with these kendo sticks to the point where they almost break. There is no blocking here. There's no sword fighting. There's no blocking. It's just strike for strike with these two teams. You can see the welts already on their backs. Finally, the Usos break their kendo sticks, and then the New Day break their kendo sticks, and all four men are down. And this is a hot way to start the match. The fans are rising up out of their seats, cheering, and we're only 1 minute in. Finally, both of these tag teams get up. And the Usos, they take Kofi Kingston and they throw him out of the ring. And they're working on Big E. One Uso holds Big E's arms while the other Uso continuously punches and kicks at Big E's guts. They're trying to do an obvious strategy of work on one man while focusing on the other one later. Kofi Kingston comes in off the top rope on the Uso that was throwing the punches at Big E. And Big E is let go by the other Uso, and he tries to attack Kofi, but Kofi, quick as ever, dodges it, does the Pele kick, which I know I'm borrowing from AJ Styles, but still.
Still works.
Still works. And then all four of these teams are brawling with each other to the outside of the ring. And Kofi, with an opportunity, goes back into the ring, goes off the ropes, jumps over the top rope, and does a splash on all other three men. It's high octane. Both of these teams are furious at each other. Both of these teams' histories are well documented. They're going to go to great lengths to battle each other, to bruise each other for the tag team titles. Kofi Kingston and Big E go underneath the ropes, and they're pulling out the toys. We got a table out from underneath the ring, and they set it up against the cell of Hell in the Cell. And they take one Uso, and they lay him on the table. They grab the other Uso, and they throw him into the brother, and they go through the table.
Oh, damn.
Then they roll him back into the ring. They go for the cover. 1, 2, kick out. That's not going to do it.
So, no, there's a lot more to this matchup, that's for sure. This is your WrestleMania, bro. This is WrestleFestival. Can't just do that on a whim.
So the New Day are trying to figure out what they got to do to put down the Usos.
What do I gots to do?
So now they go back underneath the ring looking for weapons. They find a couple of chairs, and you know what's coming. They set up with one Uso in the middle of the ring. Big E and Kofi Kingston on one side of each other. They go for concerto, but the other Uso tackles his brother out of the way, and Kofi Kingston and Big E hit each other, and concerto has backfired.
Oh, oops.
Now it's the Usos' turn. They grab the chairs, and they're a bit more vicious than the New Day. They put one chair through Big E's head. They put another chair through Kofi Kingston's right leg, and they start stomping on them. And this is starting to get a little bit dangerous.
Yeah,
they're
this is
starting
a little,
to do some dirty things.
A little cringy here. Little like, I don't know if we should be watching this type of deal.
Jay and Jimmy Uso throw Big E out of the ring, and now they have two chairs around both of Kofi Kingston's legs. They go out to the bottom side of the ring. They grab two more chairs, and they raise them above Kofi Kingston, and they slam him down on the chairs on Kofi Kingston's legs, and he's flailing about, trying to grab both of his legs and protect them, but continuous chair shot after chair shot by the Usos. Finally, Jey Uso goes for the cover. 1, 2, a kick out, but not a strong one by Kofi Kingston. And you can tell that Kofi is being worn down by these chair shots. So now, one Uso brother grabs him up and is getting ready for the Samoan drop. the other Uso brother, is going to go to the top rope. They're going to do the Samoan drop followed by a splash. But before that happens, Big E from outside the ring grabs a chair and throws it at Jey Uso on the top rope. Jimmy has to let go of Kofi and charges Big E, but Big E grabs him at the pass, at the top rope. And he grabs him and he suplexes him over the top rope into the cage.
Damn.
Big E grabs Jey Uso and he throws him into the ring and he sets him up along with Kofi Kingston for the Midnight Hour finisher. Big E on the shoulders, Kofi Kingston on the top rope. They go for it and they hit it, but Kofi is grabbing his legs. He can't do anything else. Big E goes for the cover. 1, 2. Jimmy Uso with the tackle saves the match for his team. And these guys are going, how can I beat them? What do I have to do?
What do I have to do?
Finally, Jimmy and Jey Uso, they grab Big E, but Big E is powerful. He throws him against the ropes, and then he picks both of them up on both of his shoulders for a double big ending. But as he goes for it, Jimmy and Jey slide off the back, double super kick to Big E. Kofi Kingston tries to get into the ring, but Jimmy and Jey Uso with a double super kick to him, and he falls down to the ring, to the bottom of the ring apron. Finally, Jimmy and Jey Uso, they go up on opposite sides of the top ropes. They go for opposite frog splashes onto Big E. Both of them cover Big E. 1, 2, 3. The Usos are your tag team champions.
Well, it took a while. It took all year. But we have finally got new tag team champions on the horizon. And it is the Usos. And I cannot personally think of a more deserving team after a brutal Hell in a Cell match.
And I had to get creative because we just watched Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
It was not. Yeah. Having to get creative is not a difficult thing to do when your competition is WWE and AEW.
Well, specifically WWE, because they have most of the talent that I'm working with.
Yeah, WWE is really creatively bankrupt, where AEW is just, it has not got a clue. Two different things.
But the Usos are the new tag team champions. Keith Lee is the new international champion. If I'm Drew McIntyre and I'm Charlotte Flair, I'm starting to hold on to my title just a little bit longer.
Well, Drew McIntyre maybe.
Because you may never know if they lose those titles.
Well, there's
anyways, the
plenty still
Usos
left.
are celebrating with the tag team championships. They're both battered and bruised, but they're happy. They go up to the top of the stage. But as they turn around, the Bar attacks both of them. And the Bar stand over the Usos. And that's going to be your next match at the December show.
It's going to be something. It is going to be something.
Because I know Usos and New Day is the feud everyone talks about, but I think a little underrated matchup was between Usos and the Bar.
Well, the Bar have had some great matches. They are a hell of a team. Remember when
the Usos specifically?
Oh yeah, remember when Cesaro ripped up the beach ball? I think that was a match between Seth Rollins and I want to say what the hell was his name?
It was Dean Ambrose.
Was it? Was it Rollins and Ambrose?
It was Rollins and Ambrose.
Yeah, I was for some reason I had Jason Jordan in my mind. I was like, that can't be right.
Well, if you notice, Seth Rollins has had a lot of tag team partners.
He has.
He's the John Cena of his era.
Oh God.
Hey, want to win the tag team championships? Sure.
All right,
I'm going to feud with you after I win the titles? Sure.
All right, cool. This has worked out well.
Usos and Bar have both had great tag matches before, and I think those two teams can do it again.
Oh yeah, no, that should be an instant classic. That if this wasn't an instant classic between the New Day and the Usos, then certainly the match between those two will definitely be a show stealer.
Plus, the other thing, too, is that even though the Usos were the ones that were working heel, they're still baby faces or tweeners, at least in the fans' eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bar are the clear heels, but it worked where you could have had either team win, and the Bar still would have had a great matchup against them.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the bar could have a matchup with a couple of bricks and still make a good showing out of it.
Hell, you and me could wrestle the Bar, and we'd probably get a decent match out of it.
Well, they'd carry us to a decent match. I don't know how much we'd be involved in it, but
yeah. Speaking of involvement, I have the entire women's division against Charlotte Flair because you gave me an idea, Sean.
Is it Charlotte wins LOL?
You told me that I should throw my entire women's division against Charlotte.
So you're diverting the blame to me because you couldn't come up with a good idea for your women's division. So you're saying it is my fault?
Hey, calm down. I have a good idea. Now listen. Now shut up and listen. Anyways, so this is a 6-woman matchup. Charlotte against Thunder Rosa versus Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Naomi versus Rhea Ripley. No Toni Storm.
That's interesting to note.
Unfortunately, who was injured by the figure 8 by Charlotte Flair 2 months ago.
Right.
Now, this is a 6-woman elimination style match. So you're eliminated by pinfall or submission. It goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Got it.
So 5 other women make their entrances. Charlotte makes her entrance last because, of course, she's the champion.
Because Charlotte, yep.
And as she goes into the ring with the championship belt around her waist and poses with it, every other woman in the ring proceeds to beat her up.
Fair.
Because this is a gang up against Charlotte's, obviously. And finally, Charlotte rolls out of the ring, and all the women are happy and celebrating. And then Bianca Belair takes a cheap shot at Thunder Rosa.
Well, that was quick.
Rhea Ripley throws a cheap shot against Bianca Belair, followed by Asuka, followed by Naomi, and it breaks down into chaos.
Sounds about right.
Yep. The way this match goes, first off, is that Naomi is setting up for a split-legged moonsault from the top rope onto Thunder Rosa. She goes for it, and then as she goes for it, Bianca Belair picks her up and gorilla presses her down.
Ow.
So, Naomi's going for the split-legged moonsault, but as she does it, Bianca Belair catches her and then lifts her up and then throws her down. And then she makes... I forget what her finisher is.
Bianca Belair?
What is Bianca? Yeah, I forget what her finisher is.
Doesn't she do that, doesn't she have a power bomb or a sit-up power bomb that she does?
Yes, you're right. She does have the sit-up power bomb.
Yeah.
So she grabs Naomi, hits the sit-up power bomb, and then cover. 1, 2, 3. Naomi is out of there.
There's
Thunder
one.
Rosa gets up, still wobbly, after being knocked down. Bianca Belair pats her on the head, then grabs her hair and uses the hair whip on Thunder Rosa. And then she picks her up for the sit-up power bomb. 1, 2, 3. Thunder Rosa is eliminated. At this, Asuka and Rhea Ripley work together and they start doing their moves onto Bianca Belair. Asuka with the several punches and elbows. Rhea Ripley with clotheslines. Asuka then hits the hip attack. Rhea Ripley puts Bianca Belair into the riptide. 1, 2, 3. Bianca Belair is eliminated.
Wow.
Asuka tries to pull a fast one on Rhea Ripley with a head kick, but Rhea Ripley catches the leg, and then as she picks her up, Asuka reverses it into the Asuka lock. She tries to get the submission on Rhea Ripley, but Charlotte from the top rope, a moonsault, which I know you hate, but it's still a decent looking move.
Who's Charlotte's moonsault?
Asuka and Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair with the cover on Asuka. 1, 2, 3. Now it's just Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. These two women go at it with each other. The finish for this match is Rhea Ripley sets up for the riptide on Charlotte Flair, but Charlotte gets out of it. Goes off the ropes with a spear. Then she does the figure 8. Rhea Ripley taps out.
Wow. And Charlotte, once again, has
wins
retained.
LOL.
Will it ever stop?
Well, it's not going to stop right now because Charlotte Flair grabs the microphone.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
And Charlotte says, all of you booing me right now don't understand the greatness of a Flair. I am the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and this match proves it. I beat everyone Kurt Angle put against me, and there's no disputing who is the best of all time. Woo!
Woo.
But on the screen is Toni Storm, and she says, Charlotte, I don't think you beat me. And the reason you didn't beat me is because you injured me. But I'm here to tell you something. I'm 100%. So the next time I see you, I got a receipt for you for what you did to my leg. And trust me, that receipt's coming soon. Charlotte, angry, throws the microphone down, starts jawing with the fans because the fans are still booing her. And as she's jawing with the fans, Toni Storm from behind attacks Charlotte. And these two women are in a brawl. They're rolling over each other, trying to throw punches at each other. Referees and producers get in and try to separate these two women. And finally they do. And Charlotte saying, let me at her, let me at her. They finally get both of these women separated. Charlotte to the back, Toni in the middle of the ring. And clearly these two women have a date for destiny.
Yeah, it's happening next month. Well, yeah, I guess it would be next month in your case.
Yes, it would be. So I'm not proud of a 6-woman match because I hate them, but it had to lead to a point.
You know, it's kind of like the way I view it is you make it work. Sometimes these matches, they on paper, just in concept, it sounds like it's going to suck. But then when you kind of get to the reasoning as why you're setting these up, and again, these are still being used as tools for a setup into a payoff. And if you can put the right combination on it, you can get away with pretty much anything like this. So I'm all for this, honestly. It's a little bit convoluted, I won't lie, but it again, mission accomplished, I think. I just feel bad for the rest of the women's roster who now have to try to compete, even though Charlotte has destroyed everyone else on the roster.
Well, to be clear, Charlotte didn't beat everyone. She let everyone else do each other's work.
Right. Well, true. That is fair.
So that helps protect the women in a way. It was a way to get everyone onto the show, which is what a mandate that you had, is that I had to get everyone on the show.
Right.
And then the other thing, too, was that I wanted to bring Toni Storm back at Judgment Day, but I felt like a month off after selling an injury wasn't enough. I decided to make it 2 months.
Feel you. I can understand that, definitely.
But anyways, speaking of injuries, we go backstage and we see Kofi Kingston and Big E both in the trainer's room getting looked at. And Renee Young pulls up on Kofi Kingston and asks how disappointed he is in losing a tag team championship. And Kofi tells Renee, I'm disappointed. I have to hand it to the Usos. Yeah, they were a bit nasty, but they did it. They won the match. They are the champions. But me and my boy Big E, we're not done. We'll be after those tag team championships soon enough. And we will be your WWE.
Wait,
hold on. NW.
I was like, hold on a second.
Tag Team Champions. At this, the lights for the emergency room go off, and you hear sounds, cries, and screams, and you hear Kofi and Big E being beat up.
Again?
The lights go back on, and both men are down, and 3 sets of beats come into screen. The camera pans up. It's Eric Bischoff,
wow,
Bobby Lashley, and Apollo Crews.
Wow.
And Eric Bischoff smiles, looks at both Kofi and Big E and says, hello, we're the Almighty Crew. I'll be seeing you guys real soon.
That's a little ridiculous. The fact that these two, who have done everything they can to retain their belts, and now these Bischoff and these guys trying to make another statement on already injured guys. That's some scumbaggish stuff if I've ever heard it.
Well, you said it earlier that you were confused by the direction I was taking the Almighty Crew. I think you see the direction now, right?
Oh, I said they were going to make another statement, and I didn't think they would be this quickly, but boy, did they make that statement.
It's a way to transition the New Day from being in the tag team championships to another tag team feud.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, if you're going to make a statement, you might as well make a statement against one of the most popular tag teams in wrestling.
Who just lost their tag belts as well.
Right. So it's a step up. Now, we move on to the co-main event of the evening. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens. The winner of this match is the #1 contender for the world title at the December show.
Right.
And this match is all about Daniel Bryan trying to avoid Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens is a vicious, vicious man.
Yes.
He puts the boot to Daniel Bryan whenever he gets a chance. So Daniel Bryan has to use his speed and technical ability. He's flying around the ropes. He's doing continuous elbows and drop kicks to Kevin Owens. He even forces Kevin Owens to go outside the ring. And then Daniel Bryan goes off the ropes and then does a baseball slide, not a suicide dive, because Kofi Kingston did a suicide dive.
Like that move, like that decision.
Because you like to use similar moves, but not exactly the same move.
Yes.
But as Daniel Bryan is doing this, Kevin Owens grabs Daniel Bryan and shoves him into the ring apron. And then he goes back and he does a cannonball into Daniel Bryan into the ring apron for the heat spots.
Ow.
Yep.
Sounds like that would hurt.
And Kevin Owens yes, it would. Kevin Owens taking full advantage, rolling Daniel Bryan back into the ring. And then he's just putting the boots to him. Stomp after stomp after stomp. Doing several crank and holds on Daniel Bryan. He goes for the cover several times, but he can't get the pin. Finally, after a few minutes of selling, Daniel Bryan gets out of it. He starts doing his punches. He does the comeback spot where he leaps off the top rope, dodges a punch from Kevin Owens, then comes off the ropes with a flying elbow. He sets up for the yes kicks. Sean, are you ready?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. You should have done the arm spot too. Damn it.
Oh, right. I forgot. I forget I'm on camera. Sorry, this is new for me. I do. Yes. 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 Yes.
Damn it.
All right. Sorry.
Okay,
forget it. The moment's gone.
There we go.
Forget it. The moment's gone. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I know. But it's also kind of funny because you own the Daniel Bryan Yes shirts.
I do. See, I wasn't prepared. I didn't wear it. If I had it, I would have done it.
I would have told you to wear it if Daniel Bryan. Well, that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens, they're finally at each other's necks, and Daniel Bryan sets him up for the yes kick. Well, not the flying elbow. The flying knee. The flying knee. That's what it is.
The running knee.
Yes, the running knee. As he goes for the running knee, Kevin Owens with the super kick. And then he throws him off the ropes. Goes for the pop-up powerbomb. Cover, 1, 2, 3. And that's it.
Wow. One powerbomb. That's all it takes, huh? I like that.
Because I'm trying to protect my finishers.
Hell yeah, protect your finishers. I'm all for that.
And now Kevin Owens is the #1 contender. And Renee Young rolls into the ring. And she asks Kevin Owens what it means for him to be the #1 contender. And Kevin Owens says, "What are you talking about what it means to be the #1 contender? Are you stupid, Renee? Give me this microphone." And then she shoves Renee, and Renee looks mad, but she gets out of the ring. And Kevin Owens, with the microphone alone, says, "And now I'm the #1 contender. I'm a prize fighter. And there's a certain prize that I'm after. It's the NWL World Championship. It doesn't matter who it is. I'm going to be champion. That's a fact. And anyone who gets in my way," and he looks at Daniel Bryan, and he looks back at the camera and says, will be dealt with. Kevin Owens drops the microphone. He grabs Daniel Bryan and he throws him outside the ring. He goes outside the ring himself. He sets himself up for the powerbomb into the apron. He picks up Daniel Bryan and powerbombs his neck into the apron.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Kevin Owens looking at what he's done as Daniel Bryan lays motionless. Referees and paramedics immediately get onto the scene to get Kevin Owens away from the situation.
Yeah.
And they do the stretcher job for Daniel Bryan.
That's how you build the dangerous guy. That's how you build somebody who's going to really run roughshod and pose himself as a major threat to either Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns. You know what I like about this, though, Sky? My favorite part about this is that you have booked this in a way where you've got practically a babyface main event coming up. But you've booked it so that a number one contenders match prior to this match doesn't give away the ending to the main event. And that's not something easily attainable.
Right. Because if you notice, the same thing happened with the tag team number one contendership.
Yep.
The Bar, a heel team, won and was either going to face a face team in the New Day or a tweener team in the Usos.
Yep.
So it wasn't immediately clear who they were going to face.
Yeah. No, I like this. It sets up well, and now with Kevin Owens and the way that you got Kevin Owens, how quickly he ascended the ranks. This should be a fun one. Right.
But the sacrifice for that is that I have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre as a face versus face matchup.
And an Iron Man matchup nonetheless.
And this is the match I have struggled to book the most.
Well, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. So, we get a video package highlighting Roman Reigns and his victory at the Hart Foundation Cup and his challenge to Drew McIntyre. In the same video package, we get the rise of Drew McIntyre to world champion and a recap of the men he's defeated: AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, and now he's about to face off against his toughest challenge in Roman Reigns.
Yeah, this is going to be a barn burner.
Both of these men make their entrance. Roman Reigns makes his entrance first, smooth and calm. Drew McIntyre, also calm, with the championship and a sword in his hand, because I'm going to copy WWE.
Might as well. Hey, they copied you. Might as well take a page out of their book.
Yes.
Might as well. Tit for tat, man. Tit for tat.
Drew McIntyre with the Scottish kilt, a sword in one hand, the championship in the other. And finally, he plants the sword down and fire and fireworks and kaboom and explosion. Anyways, so
gotta have
the championship is held up by the referee. Both of these men are prepared. The rules for a 30-man Ironman match are as follow. Points will be counted for pinfall, submission, or countout. No DQs. If a wrestler DQs the other guy, they immediately lose the match.
Okay.
This will go for 30 minutes. If both men end up with the same amount of points at the end of the match, there will be a sudden death overtime where next pinfall or submission only wins.
Okay.
So, the bell rings. Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre approach each other, and they spend a good minute looking at each other, sizing each other up, waiting for the first man to make a move.
Yes, the old unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Yep. Now, if you remember, last time these two faced each other in the six-man tag, Drew McIntyre went for the Glasgow Kiss, but missed.
Yes.
This time, Drew McIntyre backs up a little and asks Roman Reigns to make the first move. So Roman obliges and throws a punch right for Drew McIntyre, but Drew McIntyre blocks it. And then he grabs Roman Reigns. Overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Roman Reigns gets up, though, He's not hurt by it. He's not fazed by it. He does a clothesline to Drew McIntyre. And Roman and Drew, they both get up immediately, and they try to throw a punch at each other, and they connect at the same time at each other's jaw, and they back up. And these two men are almost equals. The crowd is on their feet. They're hyped for this match, and we're only 2 minutes in.